What's up, everybody? It's your boys. It's Bryce Hopwood, BigHoppa, Anthony, the Milkman, Ventura back. Another episode. It's been like a month. This is our fourth episode of Football A. Welcome to the Football A pod. Huge week this week. It's the start of the run to the 110th Grey Cup. And are you as excited as I am right now?
I'm more excited actually. I love the playoff, any kind of playoffs. I love them. I get so into it. So the fact that this is our first CFL playoffs, I would argue that I'm more excited. I might be the most excited out of all people for this.
Out of all the people, wow, that
Um,
is some heavy talk for somebody who has just learned about their love for the CFL. But I'm also glad we're getting in on the 110th, so that hopefully in like 20 years, when this is a huge deal and huge brand, we can be like, the math will be easy. Like, oh, the 130th. Remember our first, the 110th, and not like the 107th, where then you're just like, wait, what's the math there? We're starting at like a good even number.
that's fair. Yeah. Well, whenever we go to a special guest to the 160th Grey Cup, like we'll be able to look back. Don't worry.
50 years of football, eh? I love
Uh,
it. I love it. So, huge week this week, obviously. Eastern Western semi. I think let's dive into the games first because I think that's what most people are more excited for. And I got to be honest, I'm starting to feel comfortable. I was looking at some numbers. I'm going to start dissecting. I want to start dissecting these games a little bit.
I'm
Um,
with you.
so let's start with the East. Hamilton at Montreal. Obviously our friend Caleb Evans last week.
Mm.
If you didn't listen, go listen or go watch on YouTube. Thank you to those who did both, or one or the other. I got some numbers for you, and I think, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed you the numbers, and I'm gonna let you think and then speak on those numbers. So,
I love it.
all right, first Hamilton, fourth fewest sacks allowed in the league, obviously out of nine. So you can do the math there with what that means. But Montreal also defensively had the third fewest sacks. So we talked a lot about offensive line play. Obviously, that's your big thing that you like to be in here. I think that those are two important numbers to what could happen in this game.
Yeah. Well, again, fourth out of nine. I mean, they're middle of the road pass blocking wise, preventing sacks. But Montreal, according to that number, doesn't produce many. I know they have Sean Lemon, who is a game wrecker. I think the stat that popped up this weekend was 13th all time on the sack list. So, and I mean, he's had experience. He's been in the playoffs before. Maybe he can produce next week, but at least those numbers, we'll see. We'll see which side wins out there. Whether Montreal can get something cooking against a middle of the road pass blocking unit.
Yeah, the next. So then I went into defense because, as we know, defense wins championships. Now I'm interested to
Mm.
see if maybe that's not the case in the CFL. But Hamilton currently the fourth fewest points allowed. So middle of the road for what it's worth, middle third, towards the bottom, or like I guess top half in this scenario, and the fourth most yards per play, which I think was interesting a little bit. Montreal on the flip side of that was the second fewest points allowed defensively this year and the third fewest yards per game allowed. So deciphering those, I'm wondering if this might end up being a bit more of a defensive battle than anything.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like a defensive game, and I know they played three times this year. Got the numbers here. Only the first game it was 38-12. Besides that, nobody scored 30 in either of the other two games. Hamilton's got 12, 14, and 20 in the three. So they've been really struggling to produce points against Montreal. So I know you've been big on the betting side of things. If I were
Absolutely.
you, I'd probably take the under in this game. That's probably the safe bet here.
I gotta see. I know I saw the lines were out early on what I use, and I think the league. I would assume, I guess the league has a deal with FanDuel, or they pay for the promotion on the broadcast at least. in some way, shape, or form. In all transparency, I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I did take Winnipeg plus 150 to win the Grey Cup. I just liked what I saw so much. But yeah, I've been big into the gambling side of things. For the Eastern semi, the over under is 48. With Montreal as 3.5 point favorites as it sits now.
So the 48.5, the 3 times they played this year, they went 50, 41, 42. So
Ooh.
again, and the one thing that's kind of curious about that is, so the first game, Montreal won 38-12. The quarterback for that game for Hamilton, I don't know if it's Schultz or Schlitz or how it's pronounced. He played quarterback for the first game. The second game was Powell. He scored 14 on Montreal, and then the third game was Powell and Mitchell, who quarterback. So I don't know who's gonna. I know they've been working Bo Levi Mitchell into the QB rotation the last couple weeks. I don't know who's gonna start, who's gonna get the majority of snaps for Hamilton, but that would be something to look at as well.
Yeah. I also found it interesting when it comes to the defensive side of things with Fajardo leading the CFL this year with 71% completion percentage, but then some of those offensive numbers for Montreal leave a little bit to be desired. But obviously, your guy, we have the West Virginia flag in the back, but you're also an Ohio State fan, maybe first and foremost. Austin Mack versus Tim White in this one, two of the best receivers in the league, two in the top five, 1 in 5 in, I believe, yards. To this point, that's going to be an interesting battle on both sides of the ball, or for both
Austin
offenses.
Austin's always been a dog, and he showed up again. An Ohio State guy. Again, first year in CFL, and I think it's Austin's first year in the CFL as well. But at least when he was at Ohio State, he had a knack for showing up in big games. I know he had a couple big catches against Michigan over the years. So if that holds true, the thought would be that he would show up this weekend and going forward.
What is it? Causation. What's the
Correlation does not equal causation.
right? But in this case, I'm gonna say correlation does equal correlation,
Yeah.
causation. So, Mac versus Tim White will be an interesting one. I'm gonna ask you for an official pick. Actually, before I do that, before I ask for your pick, we'll pick both of these games. And I think let's pick. Well, let's hold off. We'll pick each game this week, and as we go. But if you are one of the few people who is a football a podcast fan to this point, we are going to be linking in the description of this on Spotify and the YouTube episode. What we're going to be doing for you is we have a Google form. Okay. Listen to these instructions carefully. Google form your Grey Cup predictions. So we have the Eastern and Western semifinal. Then we have the Eastern and Western final. Who you think will be in the Grey Cup and who is your Grey Cup champion. So you have to have these filled out. I'm going to see if I can hopefully set it by probably kickoff on Saturday. If I'm hoping that's at least what I can do to avoid any cheating or any scandalous behavior from you Canadians, who I imagine are mostly pretty kind. But what we're going to do is award points. I think we're just going to double each round. So for the Eastern Western semi, you get one for each. For the finals, we'll do 2. For the Grey Cup, you'll get 4 per correct. And if your champion is right, you'll get 8. And then obviously most points at the end wins a prize. That prize is yet to be determined. That prize will be only determined by myself. That is legally binding, I do believe. So hopefully none of you lawyers are out there and going to scam me on any money. But so yeah, the prize, not necessarily monetary, not necessarily anything great. Not going to lie to you, but you're going to win a prize. I promise a prize for sure. And go in there, fellas. We appreciate it. We appreciate a lot of the support. And who do you got winning this Eastern semifinal game?
Per our interview last week with Caleb Evans, I am supporting Montreal through the entirety of this playoffs, and I think they get it done. Again, they're 3-0 against Hamilton this year. I think they get it done on Saturday for sure.
I think I agree. I'm going to be very interested to see, like you said, there's no consistency, at least from what we've seen with Hamilton at quarterback so far this year. And I think that the line Montreal versus Hamilton will be interesting. Overall, obviously you mentioned Lemon, but Beverett has been really good. And so, what they've made up for without getting sacks, allowing the second fewest points, and then the third fewest yards for Montreal's defense means that back half, those defensive backs are really talented. So I agree with you. I think Montreal is going to win the game. And I'm probably going to take the under in that ball game, but that might be unrelated. On to the Western semi. My Calgary Stampeders head to the BC and play the Lions. I got some more numbers for you for the Western. Calgary, fourth most points allowed. So, and on the wrong side of the league, if you cut the league in half, if you will, BC has the fourth fewest points allowed. I believe when it comes to the per game stuff, BC is two points less per game over these 21 weeks. For Calgary, though, the fourth fewest yards per game allowed. So, do with that info what you will. When it comes to BC, they've allowed the second fewest yards per game to offenses in the CFL season. So, another kind of interesting battle with these defenses, maybe.
Yeah, I think BC's defense is better. I mean the numbers support that. I do think, again, I'm not sure if the over under, I'm not sure where it's at, but
50 is the number.
okay. Well, certainly BC's defense is good enough to hold that. I did have the first couple games. So they played 3 games this year. The third game was the last week when BC had already clinched and had their spot wrapped up, and Calgary was still playing for a spot. So not sure how much that game matters, but the first 2 went 40 points and 46 points. So those would both hit the under 50.
Ooh, that's
And
interesting.
BC won 25-15 in the first game and 37-9 in the second game. And that was the home game. That was the one in Vancouver. So I think BC's the bet.
That's not great. The spread is 6.5. Obviously, I'm going to take Calgary 6.5. My fan of my Stampeder, my Peter lies with Calgary currently. When it comes to another battle, should be interesting. Calgary, third fewest pass yards allowed per game in the league. Adams, Vernon obviously led the league in pass yards with a bazillion, essentially. And last but certainly not least, so obviously you're going to have that battle with Calgary's defensive backfield. Micah set the record for Calgary for most tackles in the season. And that might be as a Canadian or it might be in general. Don't quote me now. That's kind of a fake fan behavior, but I know that that's a stat when one of those two forms. So great ball there for Micah and what's the other kid? Who was a stud. He had the pick last game to seal it. Embarrassing. Truthfully, brutal and embarrassing here, but go Stampeders. Calgary was +9 in the turnover ratio this year. BC was -12. Interesting numbers to note as well.
So Calgary went +9, you said, and they went 6-11, and BC went 11-6, and they were -8. That's interesting. Imagine if that flips. BC will blow them out.
Yeah, that would not be great. But yeah,
I'll say Calgary going 6-11 +9 in turnover differential. I don't think that's a favorable stat.
No, it's
favorable
stat.
at all.
I actually love so as much as I kind of complained, I think it was in the second episode about the stat compiling. When you go to the CFL website and you go to like the stats through whichever week, Cam Judge, by the way, that's who I was trying to think of. Sorry, Cam. Was it Cam? Yeah, Cam Judge. My bad. Sorry, Cam. When you go to the stats, they have a thorough breakdown of everything through the week and like some decent analytics stuff too. But yeah, unless I read that wrong, which I have a public education, high school education from America, so certainly plausible. But yeah, I was pretty surprised to see that stat.
there was one stat that I wanted to highlight from when I was going through. So you mentioned BC's defense being real good. The 3 games they played, Jake Meyer, Calgary's quarterback, the most passing yards he's had in the game is 160. And
Ooh.
so it was 160, I think it was 130 and 120, not great. The first 2 games that Calgary lost, they had under 100 yards rushing both times, and the leader was around 40. And then the game that they won, they had over 200-yard rushing. They had a guy at 105 by himself, and
Yeah,
then somebody
Kadeem.
else at 88. Yeah. So I think the key is rushing defense. There sounds like they got Jake Meyer in a glass case of emotion, if you will. But the rushing defense is where the game's won and lost, I think, for BC.
Yeah, that'll be a fun battle to take a look at. And then you have obviously Jake Meyer, new dad as well. He has a baby girl, I believe, and then Calgary clinches the playoffs and now faces BC again for his first playoff start, or I think it's his first playoff start. That I'm not sure on. Probably shouldn't just be giving that out, but at least first playoff start as a dad. So you kind of got to show out if you're Jake Meyer. Got to step it up here. And who are you going to take to win this Western semifinal?
BC covers, under hits, something like, if I had to pick a score, I'm just gonna throw a score out there just for fun. He didn't ask me for a score. I'm gonna throw one out there. 34-14. BC big.
Wow.
That's my pick.
That hurts. Obviously, it's Calgary by a million. I would conservatively say Calgary is going to win 40-10, at 40-11 with a Rouge.
40-11.
40-11.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to put down
conservatively.
Here. Yeah, and that's if Meyer has a bad game. Obviously the Rouge. I absolutely love the Rouge so much. It's one of my favorite things to ever occur. But so now I kind of want to switch gears. We got the playoff stuff out of the way. And I want to go into something that I wish I knew existed previous to picking Calgary. Not that that sounds bad. Not that I don't love picking Calgary, because I do. The black alternate jerseys are absolutely to die for. Maybe the best jersey in the CFL. To be totally honest. But if you're new, because I noticed it in the CFL Reddit, which is obviously like our origin story at this point. A lot of people saying, hey, new CFL fan or just getting into the CFL, like, what do the teams look like? So I didn't know this until I was scrolling more through the CFL webpage, cfl.ca, the other day. And I noticed that in the game zone, which next year we're definitely going to figure out a fantasy thing, something to do with everybody, the team pick 'em or something each week, because I love that stuff. It's some of the best stuff you can do, and obviously helps out with engagement and keeping everybody involved. So we're going to do that for sure next year. And that's why I wanted to do the playoff prediction stuff. But I noticed in the game zone, there's a team picker, and what the team picker does is 10 questions, answer them, gives you a team at the end. So obviously Ant picked a team right away. I kind of found out about Calgary. They were the first team I looked into, but I did this. I'll be interested to see if I do the same answers. I did this the other day. I got a team that wasn't Calgary. I'm not going to comment on who it was because I'm obviously a diehard Calgary fan. I can't say it and then go back on it. But I'm going to have Ant run me through the questions, and we'll see what comes up.
We're gonna find out live what you get. I'd like to point out I did this, and
Yes.
I got my Rough Riders. It further validates my pick. They were number one. And really, when you click on answers, it shows you like who's leading in the top. They stayed in one from question 1 to the end. It was always Saskatchewan, always.
Your
Okay.
heart will definitely go on into Saskatchewan.
Yeah. I'm gonna run you through the questions, and we'll see live what you get.
That was a great Celine. That was a great Celine Dion reference, by the way, Canadian.
Thanks. Okay. Question 1. What is your favorite color with a U, by the way, color with a U? Blue, orange, red, or yellow?
Yeah, the U thing. I'm surprised I didn't see, like, I haven't looked at the YouTube comments, but I'm wondering I'm wondering if there's anything to be had there with the U stuff. But my favorite color with the U is red.
Okay, that's also
Or
what I picked.
rouge, or rouge if you're French.
That's also what I picked. There we go. We're on the same wavelength here. Maybe you'll get Saskatchewan too. Question two. What is your favorite part of a CFL game? There's four options: a long pass from the QB, a huge stop on 3rd and 1, a pick six, or a kickoff return touchdown.
It's always kickoff return for a touchdown. The kickoff and the missed field goal is my favorite part.
Interesting. I went long pass from the QB. I'm a big QB guy. I love when the ball's floating in the air, time stops. I love it. I'm with it. Kickoff return TD. Still in first place for you, the Rough Riders.
Uh-oh.
Question three. What's your go-to game day snack? We got four options again. Hot dog, nachos, warm pretzel, popcorn.
So as a larger individual, popcorn not filling enough. Certainly, I'll eat it if it's there. Hot dogs. We got to talk about hot dogs here. I once earned the nickname Hot Dog Boy because of my disdain for hot dogs. I prefer a brat. Hot dogs are gross. So really that leaves me two options. And sometimes when you get the wrong stadium, you catch the pretzels on the wrong day. They're very gross. So I went nachos.
Okay, so I don't like cheese. I'm not a nacho guy. There's a this will sound funny to Canadians. I think there's a gas station here called Sheets. And they have 2 for $1 hot dogs. Let me tell you, in my college days, I think I got drunk one time. I went to Sheets. I kid you not, I ordered 20 hot dogs.
Oh my God.
That being said, I think I'm now sick of hot dogs, so I went popcorn. But
Oh, okay.
we got nachos in for you. All right. Favorite part of the CFL season? This is difficult for us. So again, I kind of connected it more to NFL and assume it's going to be the same in CFL. Kickoff, Labor Day weekend, the Grey Cup playoffs, or the Grey Cup final.
I gotta say, obviously, our first year, like you said here, I didn't really equate it. I just kind of took it to where we were. So I think I'm giving the same answers as I did last time, but I gotta go with the playoffs as a whole. I'm just excited for these next few weeks.
That's what I went with as well.
Interesting.
Yep.
Just because I know, because if I stay true, I assume I would get the same team. And then therefore I know what team I would get at the end of this. And to see our answer deviation is interesting.
We'll see. Here we go. Question 5 after this. I'll give you an update where you're at team-wise. So we got what's better? Very simple. 2 options, offense or defense.
Look, defense wins championships, but offense is always where it's at.
Offense is way more fun to watch. It's offense by a million. By a million, it's offense. Also, another spelling thing, they spell offense apparently with a C.
With the C, yeah, that's really been
with a C.
That's really been getting on me lately.
All right, through 5 questions, your number 1 team, any guess?
No.
The Rough Riders, baby. Rider Nation.
No.
Your Stampeders are 8. 8 out of 9.
God.
You're not a Stampeder guy. You're runner-up for favorite team, Winnipeg, 2. I'm just maybe you picked the wrong team. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting.
Next question. Your team has 3rd and 1 at the 55. What 55 is a crazy stat yard line. I just noticed that. First 3rd and 1 at the 55. What do you do? Go for the first or kick it away?
You're always going for the first down.
Always
baby.
go for it. Always go for it. You're not a field position guy. Not Jim Tressel out here.
No, not at all. We're going. Obviously, the swaying is the barrier thing. It's like 90%, like 95% of the time we're getting it.
Also, just interesting here. So through 5, we had the same number 1. We picked the same one for that, but your number 1 team just changed. Interesting.
Interesting.
That's all I'll say for now. Question 7. What's your favorite city vibe? 4 options. 1, nature. So hikes, mountains. 2, nightlife. There's always something to do. 3, food. Restaurant hopping is the best. Hopping, interesting. 4, arts and culture. Live music and shows are right up your alley.
So I know what I answered for this, and this is the one answer that, and maybe I'll just say it because I think I'm going to be more true to myself now that I have you holding me accountable. I'll say it. I got Hamilton when I did this. I got the Tie Cats. And I know I believe I picked food.
What do you want to pick now?
But yeah, I don't think that's true enough to my form because I'm more of a nightlife guy. Like I think being able to do stuff at night, go out, like I'm not gonna say I'm a rager or anything, but the ability to bar hop, you can tie food into that. I'm gonna change my answer to what it should probably truly be and be the nightlife.
Nightlife, interesting. I went nature.
Yeah.
I don't like public spaces. I'm too picky to try new foods, and I'm not a big arts guy. So
Country roads.
nature was the option for me for sure. Interesting what that did to your favorite team. Okay. Question 8. Your team's down 1 with 15 seconds left, and you just scored a touchdown. You going for 2 or you taking overtime?
Look, in America, you're either liberal or you're conservative. And I'll tell you what, I might be politically liberal, but I'm conservative in this situation. Well, I'm going for 1 and taking the tie.
Coward. 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 You're gonna go for it on the 55.
I
You're
gotta go
not
for it
going
to
for
get, yeah, I
2.
gotta go for it to go score
That's
and tie the
crazy.
game, live to fight another day.
This is crazy. Especially my Rough Riders, my 6-win Rough Riders. We can't afford overtime in most games. If we go to overtime, we're outmatched. We got to go for it when we have it. You
Oh.
always go for 2. Okay. Question 9. How do you best like to tune in to a CFL game? Again, we don't have many options, but
No.
I related this to, say we lived in a city with a CFL team. Okay.
Okay.
1, at home with friends or family. Uh, in the stands with a friend. It says with your bestie, but I'm not saying that. So with a friend. In the stands with a big group, or radio all the way. I guess people in Canada still listen to the radio.
Uh so I don't know if this is me getting older. Um
Say at home. Well,
I'm but
old.
yeah,
You
I'm
might say
saying
radio.
no, not that old. I'm staying at home. I prefer to have it on the TV, comfort of my couch. I get mad at traffic a lot, so it's staying at home.
I went with in the stands with a friend. Really, when I go to games here, I go to games by myself. I think that's fun because I can kind of just be an a-hole and do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. I like being a road fan too. I'll go to road games and just be an absolute jerk to everybody because I think it's fun.
I love being the home fan who heckles the players, not in like an aggressively mean way, but you know, definitely like to give it to them playfully because I know kids are within earshot. I won't cuss them out, but I'm with you in that regard. But when it comes to like watching the game, obviously I'm gonna go if it's a big game, but I'd rather sit home, have my food, have my way.
Nah, I like to feed off the energy live. All right. Last question. This is sponsored by World Vision. You're starting a new CFL franchise. What humanitarian cause do you want to focus on supporting as a team? Uh, global issues such as hunger and clean water, education and healthcare for children in poverty-stricken areas, long-term sustainable development, and community empowerment, or providing immediate relief in emergency situations.
I'm a dad. Kids and my kid especially means a lot to me. I picked this last time too. It's the kids.
All right. I went global just because more people. Again, I get the small town feel, but global issues you can impact the most people.
Certainly, it's a good. Hey, that's totally fair. I don't think when it comes to charity, there's a bad answer.
All right. Your rankings are done.
Okay.
I'll just say you did not get Calgary.
Oh
Your
no.
Stampeders came in 8th. They stayed in 8th. Only team you should support less than the Stampeders is the Ottawa Redblacks.
Ooh, sorry, Ottawa. Shout out Matthew Perry, by the way.
Some
Ottawa boy.
Yeah.
He's an Ottawa boy. Saw him,
Right.
videos of him like at Senators games and that kind of stuff. You'll be missed.
Right. Some other notes here. The Argos are 4. Montreal, our boy Caleb Evans is 7.
Ooh.
All right. Wow. Would you like your number 1 team?
I would.
The Hamilton Ticats. As you said, what you got in the last one, the Ticats, number 1.
That is interesting. Like I said, I stayed pretty true to what I answered last time. I really only deviated the one time. And so yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of making me question my entire view on the CFL.
Ticats 1. Your second place Winnipeg Blue Bombers stayed in number 2. And my beloved Rough Riders, number 3. That's your top 3 teams. My 3 teams when I did it, I got obviously Saskatchewan first, the Argos were 2, and then the Blue Bombers. So you took my 3 and went to 2. Hamilton, I believe, was like last for me.
Wow.
No, BC was last. Hamilton was 6
Interesting.
for me. Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, if you're a new CFL fan, go ahead. You should just use the team picker. It should tell you exactly who you root for, and obviously don't come to any conclusions like, hey, there's a town like 2 hours away from me that's the same neighborhood name as in Calgary. But hey, you heard the favorite color. I laid out my reasons. I'm obviously secure as I stumble over my words of why I love Calgary.
I also think even if you are a fan of a team, I think you should do the team picker and just pick a new team just for fun. Why not?
Right.
If you've been supporting a team for 50 years, but the team picker disagrees, treat the team picker like God. Like it is whatever it says is your new team. It doesn't matter. Throw away all your Argos stuff, and you're gonna be a Rough Rider fan now.
I like that. I think that's important. I think we should treat it that way. I totally agree with you.
The team picker is all knowing.
It's a sentient being at some point. All right, Ant. This has been awesome. Obviously, as it's been. Thank you everybody for supporting us. What else did we have on the docket?
The only other thing we wanted to ask, I know we're trying to do questions every week. We're trying to do questions every week. We wanted to ask you guys this week, if we were able to do a road trip, and say me and Hop, we scrounge enough money together to go on a road trip to not the Grey Cup. So pretend the playoffs don't exist. This is a regular season game, and say our fandoms don't exist. So we don't just say, oh, Saskatchewan versus Calgary, because that's our teams. Which stadium or which team has the best game day experience? If me and Hop go to a game, what's the one stadium or game that we have to go see?
There it is, folks. I'm excited to see the answers, especially because I think it BC plays at Tim Hortons Field, or maybe it's Hamilton.
That's Hamilton. Yeah, that's where
Hamilton, the donut box.
Yeah,
it's a good start for a name of a stadium, the donut box. I'm kind of talking myself into Hamilton right now.
Yeah, you should. Hamilton, the team picker, all knowing team picker. They know.
I love it. Well, all right. Yeah, obviously I got Calgary. You said you got BC. And we're both on Montreal this week.
Yep.
Everybody, like I said, link in the description for the Grey Cup playoff predictions. It's short answer, so you have to type in your answer to each one. I'll score it after. And like I said, how the point system works. If there's a tie, I got to write in a tiebreaker. So probably do score prediction. Actually, yeah. No, we'll do score prediction. No, tiebreaker is going to be number of rouges in the entirety of the playoffs.
2.
Yeah,
there's not going to be many. Yeah, there's
going to be one this weekend, obviously, as I predicted.
40-11.
1 rouge in 1 rouge. So yeah, that's going to be the tiebreaker. I think that's going to be the tiebreaker. So yeah, do that. There is a guaranteed prize. It's not necessarily monetary. It's not necessarily going to be anything that helps you, but there's a prize. I promise you that. So thank you.
It'll change your life. It'll change your life.
It legally it won't, but it might. Depends on who you are. So yeah, awesome. Thanks everybody again. This has been the Football A Pod.